Yo, welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is Wednesday, the 14th of January, 2015, and I'm your host, Ant-Man. I got a WND article in front of me. It is front page, I guess, yeah. This is by Garth Kent. This is an interesting one. This was published 24 hours ago. I'll put the link down there. You could go to this page, and it has the full video of what's going on here. So, Rand Paul. Let's think about judicial activism, he says. I don't want judges writing laws, but I want them protecting my liberty, he says. So let's get into this. Washington, Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, took a public stance conservatives may find provocative Tuesday, declaring I am a judicial activist. He did add an important caveat, saying he favored judicial activism only when needed to overturn bad laws, those that threaten freedom, and cited examples such as laws enforcing racial segregation. But the point the senator was trying to make was that conservatives should not reflexively dismiss the need for judicial activism at certain times. Paul told the audience he was not trying to convert you, but we should think about it. No, I don't want judges writing laws, but I want them protecting my liberty, he said, addressing the Heritage Foundation Summit on Opportunity for All, Favoritism for All. Paul cited Obamacare as a case in which judicial activism should have been employed. I'm having a problem with that word today, huh? Judicial. Saying whether he believes it or not, I don't know. Paul cited U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts' his argument of judicial restraint in his decision not to rule Obamacare unconstitutional. It's because he is, right on. Paul summarized Roberts' argument as, we have to presume the majority is correct and the law is constitutional until proven otherwise. The senator said Roberts was citing former Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes' credo. We should not get in the way of the majority. The senator's counter to that was, what happens when the legislature does bad things? Maybe we should start out with a presumption of liberty, meaning maybe it should be presumed people should be free from the government enacting coercive laws, such as requiring all Americans to purchase health care insurance, which is a tax, by the way, but you're too stupid to understand that, says, what's his name? Gruber? Isn't it funny that people that Obama hires they call you stupid? They're like, you're too stupid to know that we don't tell you the truth, because then you won't vote for the things that we try to pass. You see, because you don't pay attention to real politics. You're listening to all of our talking points. You're going down all the rabbit holes that we're sending you down, and then therefore you're too dumb to know that we're nowhere even near what we're pointing you toward, idiots. Isn't that nice that the government is so loving? They're loving. A lot of people believe that they're really loving, and I think that's hilarious. It's hilarious, but at the same time sad, because you have to explain to them how it's a tax, and then it goes into how you also are trying to. You could see that there's an agenda behind this, because small businesses, the middle class, is under attack by this tax. Because when you're poor, this tax doesn't really mean it. This tax is not, it's not against them. It's against people that have more money. The more money you have, the more this Obamacare tax is going to destroy you. So I'm just saying. Ensuring freedom from government would have been true judicial restraint, the way Paul portrayed it. Furthermore, he insisted the majority is not always right, and states' rights do not always trump constitutionally guaranteed freedoms. Paul used the example of Jim Crow racial discrimination laws to illustrate both points. By the way, came from the left, just like the KKK did. Oh no, but they're the minority group. They want you to believe that they're for minorities, even though they're the founders of all these things. Shh. The general public doesn't know this, okay? Shh. We want to get Hillary Clinton in for president in 2016, so shh. Shh. We can't talk bad about liberals or progressives or any of the sort. So the senator said, I think we should overturn bad laws, insisting it's the proper role of the judiciary branch according to the Constitution. He also declared absolute states' rights is not a conservative position. And what kind of laws would be bad laws? The libertarian said, I think the court has a duty to overturn anti-liberty laws. You think? Paul opened his speech by polling how many members of the audience favored judicial activism, and not a single person raised his hand. No, so nobody raised their hand when he proposed this, huh? All right. The senator concluded by remarking that he hoped his observations would cause conservatives to rethink an absolute opposition to judicial activism. Well, what I say is, pretty soon, if we keep changing the meaning of words and whatnot, they're going to be the conservatives, and then pretty soon they're going to just say, "What do you mean? It's always been like this," and it's never, no, it's absolutely not true. We have come a long way in this country. I, of course, am not even old enough to have lived through some of the most dramatic of the changes that went on here. Mostly going on in the early 1900s, and with the Industrial Revolution and with the war and whatnot, all these things did change the culture. They you know what I mean. You get a little bit of comfort, and you get a little bit of complacent. It's just a normal thing, but at the same time, it's our fault for not you know what I mean, trying to stay up on these on what actually makes liberty as something that we can all enjoy. Because when we start defining liberty as something that means that we have to interpret the Constitution and mean that equal opportunity is what they meant by everybody has unalienable rights and that nobody can, you know what I mean? Because the mindset that the progressive has is that if you come from a poor house, that they should put you on the same platform as everyone else. And that's called socialism, dude. We can't have socialism in this country because socialism doesn't work. If you look at history, it always leads to communism, and then that always leads to what? I'm not kidding, man. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know this stuff. I actually believe that my 13-year-old nephew, he's around that age. No, he's older than that. But my nephew understands this, man. My nephew does. He's been doing projects on church history since a long time. But he's smarter than a lot of people I'm around too, man. Because he goes. I see him at church too all the time. But children understand this. There are channels that I know about on YouTube that I'm hooked up with that I talk to. That these guys, they're young. They're still in high school. And they know more about what goes on in the government than your parents do, than your mom, your dad, your grandparents. They're living in like the 50s still. You have to realize that our older generations don't understand what's going on right now. They're living in the past. They're thinking that America is still the same way. With all the surveillance, with all the technology, there's no way. But for some reason, they don't see past that. But the fact of the matter is that we need to go back to limited government. We need to listen to actually what Rand Paul and his dad says, because they're right. As long as government gets bigger and badder, the more that it's going to become a corporation more than a republic. And then you could already see what's going on with Christian businesses. If you hold the claim that you have a relationship with Jesus Christ and you don't want to bake a cake for a gay couple, guess what? You're going to lose your job. Ho ho. You know what? This reminds me of ancient Rome. So we got to stay vigilant. We got to be like, no, you can't do that. You know what I mean? We got to remember how we interpret the Constitution, right? And like I always say, let the scoffers scoff. Let the mockers mock. Let them miss out on everything that's really going on in our times and all the fun. Hey, it's like what Benjamin Franklin said. As long as we fight tyranny, we'll make fun of it. We'll make it something that is not only our duty but our honor. We are awake. It's a shameful thing to be asleep. But you know how it says in the Bible that they glory in their shame. They have shame, but they glory in it as a disguise to make you believe that there is no shame there. The conscience is there, whether it be seared or not, whether it be absolutely ignored to death or not. But the person knows that ignorance is a shameful thing, and that by laughing, by trying to act like as if there's nothing going on, that you're just paranoid, that you're making up things. It's really it's mental. It's defeat. You're defeated. You have Stockholm syndrome. You believe that the people that are holding you hostage and making you a slave are your friends. You're believing that they're the ones that are keeping you protected. And I say that there's no better protection than you. You are your best protection. Your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, all these things, man, are important things to exercise. If you don't exercise every part of who you are, you're going to be lacking somewhere. And if you're not exercising the Spirit, I guarantee that you're putting your faith, you're basing who you are off of something that you either possess materialistically. You think that you're someone special because of what, and that is not true. You're not who you are based on what you have. You're not who you are based on what you've done. You are not. And it's just the fact of the matter, man, whether you're a believer or not. And when you actually see what God created you to be like, to have Him fill the insatiable desires of the heart, to have Him be who consumes your mind and who consumes your heart, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's who you're really meant to be. But as long as you're not going to believe in God, you're going to be given to this reprobate mind that always is given to foolishness, is what the Bible that says, that the one that says that there is no God in his heart is a fool, and that you don't understand anything, and that you live to please the nature of the flesh, the desires that it craves, and you are actually a slave because you have no control over that. You're just being led from sin to sin. And if you're living in adultery, you know how it says that sin leads to death? Well, I guarantee you, if you go around sleeping with other people's wives, man, you're gonna find out that that's not a lie. You know what I mean? Sin leads to death, man. All sin. You know how Jesus said that if you even say something to someone else that, like, condemning, if you say you're like, I hate you, I don't want to say a bad word, but if you say something like a bad word to someone, you murdered them in your heart. That is what the Bible says, that the intention of the heart is the sin. You murdered that person in your heart, man. And that's evil. God says that that's evil, that's sin, and that leads to death. If you came up to me on the street and you told me something disrespectful, and you spit in my face, or you try to take my wallet, I will beat you up. I'm not going to stand there and I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what I mean? I don't listen to liberals, and I don't bend over and put my thumb in my mouth for nobody. I like fighting. Asking me for a fight is like asking a fat kid if he wants cake, But I don't go around picking fights. I'm just saying, I believe in self-defense. I believe that you have a right to beat someone up if they try to beat you up, or they try to take your wallet or whatever. Especially if you're a believer, you guys. Your life is valuable. God has a plan for you. People who are lost, we don't even know what God has in store for them. So we have to preserve what we have. We bring more to the table than the unbeliever. The unbeliever doesn't bring anything to the table. It's all about, well, I'm all right, so everything else is all right. Well, it's all about me, and everything else doesn't matter. That's the unbeliever. We bring more to the table, man, because we actually talk. We actually are alive. We actually can think with our minds. You know what I mean? And people these days don't even probably believe they have a brain because, hey, I don't believe it if I don't see it. And hey, I don't see brain. I don't see oxygen. I don't see a lot of things. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And gravity certainly exists. Miracles exist. If God wants to walk on water, he'll walk on water. You know what I mean? He created it all, so he could do whatever he wants. He could suspend all natural law, come and intervene, and do whatever he feels like doing. I don't see why when people talk about God that they'll limit him to be someone who has no power to do these things. You know what I mean? And we just have to we have to be mindful of what perspective we're looking at when we look at issues of conservatism, of how we used to do politics in this country. When we think about that, we think through the lens of a Christian. We look at the world. Who has influenced society more than anybody else? The Christian has. When it comes to government, when it comes to family, when it comes to society, when it comes to economics, when it comes to everything, the Christian brings most to the table. He has influenced society more than anybody in the world, more than Hollywood, more than anything. And anything good that you enjoy today, especially liberty, you can thank people who put their faith in God, like George Washington. So we need to revalue, we need to we need to take an inventory on what we think is valuable and honorable these days and knock it off. God bless you guys. Have a good day.